All right, welcome. Today, we are diving into the developer's journey with Flutter. I mean, the whole thing. From that very first idea, that first line of code, all the way to getting it prepped and ready for the App Store. So let's just jump right in. Okay, let's kick things off with a pretty bold statement, right? Flutter is the best cross-platform mobile framework. I mean, wow, the best. That is a huge claim. So what's actually behind a statement like that? Let's unpack it. But let's be real, what does that journey actually feel like for a developer? From that spark of an idea all the way to a launched app. That's the path we're gonna follow today. We'll see the promise, we'll hit the roadblocks, the inevitable errors, and then get to a successful launch. So first up, let's get to the heart of it. What is the core problem that Flutter was even built to solve? For years, if you wanted your app on both iPhones and Android phones, you had a pretty painful choice to make. The old way was kind of a nightmare, honestly. You had to build one app for iOS, a completely separate app for Android, and probably another one for the web. That meant different teams, different code bases. It was slow, it was expensive, and just keeping them all in sync was a massive headache. And then Flutter comes along with this incredibly simple promise. One single code base. You write it once, and boom, it runs everywhere. For a small team, a startup, or even just a solo dev, you can see how this is an absolute game changer. We're talking about saving a massive amount of time and money. And it's not just about being efficient. Flutter is built from the ground up for performance. We're talking buttery smooth animations, running at 60 or even 120 frames per second. That's the kind of responsiveness that makes an app just feel premium and professional. It also comes packed with this huge library of ready-made UI components, and since it's backed by Google, the community support is just massive. And don't think for a second that Flutter is just a toy for small projects. Yeah, startups love it for the speed, but giants like BMW, Alibaba, eBay, and even Google itself are building huge customer-facing applications with it. It is enterprise ready, right now. All right, theory is great, but let's get our hands dirty. You're sold on the idea, so how do you actually get started? Now, I know looking at setup instructions can feel a little intimidating, but really it all just boils down to three main steps. First, you grab the tools. That means downloading the Flutter SDK. Think of it as the main toolbox and an editor like Android Studio. Second, you set the path. Now, that sounds technical, but all it really means is telling your computer, hey, the Flutter tools, they live over here. And finally, you run my favorite command, Flutter Doctor. It's brilliant. It scans your whole system and tells you exactly what's working and what, if anything, you still need to fix. So once the doctor gives you a clean bill of health, this is it. This one single line in your terminal creates an entire, fully functional starter app. No complicated menus, no crazy configuration files. You run the command and you have a project ready to go. It's that simple. Okay, so we've got our project, but to actually build something cool, we need to understand Flutter's core philosophy. And that philosophy is this. In Flutter, everything is a widget. Seriously, you see that button on the screen? That's a widget. The text next to it? Also a widget. The empty space giving it some breathing room? Yep, that's a widget too. The whole screen, the entire layout holding all those little pieces together, you guessed it. It's just one big widget made up of a bunch of smaller widgets. The moment that clicks for you, that's the moment you start thinking like a real Flutter developer. Now, these widgets basically come in two main flavors. You've got stateless widgets for things that don't change, like say the title on your app's header. You build it once and it just stays that way. Stateful widgets, on the other hand, are for all the dynamic stuff. Think of a counter that ticks up when you press a button, or a search bar that updates as you type. If your UI needs to react and change based on new information, you're gonna need a stateful widget. Okay, so you're building out your widgets. Your app is starting to take shape. Everything is going perfectly. And then it happens. Your terminal just spits out a wall of scary red text. Yes, this one. The infamous, the dreaded, Gradle build failed. I don't care if you're a first-day beginner or a 10-year veteran, every single developer has felt that little pang of dread when this shows up. But here's the secret, okay? This isn't a disaster. It's more like a rite of passage. It's supposed to happen. And the good news is, it's almost always fixable. Because that scary-looking error message usually just boils down to one of these common things. See, Gradle is the system that builds your Android app, and sometimes it's a bit finicky. Maybe its version doesn't quite match a plugin you're using, or some temporary cache files got messed up, or a new package you added isn't playing nice with an old one. It's a known problem with a known set of causes. And because the causes are known, so are the fixes. This little three-step process right here will solve the issue a huge majority of the time. First, just run Flutter clean to get rid of any old build files. Then, double-check that your Gradle versions are compatible. And if all else fails, just deleting the hidden .gradle folder forces everything to start fresh. Just like that, a moment of total frustration turns into a quick fix. So, you've built your app, you've conquered the errors, and now we're at the most exciting part, getting your creation ready for the whole world to see on the Google Play Store. And this is basically your final checklist. First, you generate a secure key store. Think of it like a digital signature that proves you are the app's real developer. Next, you tweak a configuration file to tell the build process to use that key. Then you run one command to create what's called an app bundle, which is the neat, packaged up version of your app for the store. And finally, you just upload that bundle to the Google Play console. It's a super clear path from your code to the store. So there you have it. That's the journey. We've gone from just an idea, understanding that incredible promise of a single code base, all the way through setting up the tools, learning the building blocks, squashing those annoying bugs, and getting ready to launch. The whole path is laid out right in front of you. So really, there's only one question left. What are